Good day, everyone. My name is Leah Mushet. I am a reporter here at the Western Standard. Today, we're going to be talking about Bill 47, also known as the Care First Insurance System, which will be implemented by 2027. This system will regulate Albertans' right to sue at-fault drivers, having to instead answer to a tribunal funded by the insurance industry and appointed by the government. How will Albertans be impacted, you may ask? Well, today I have Ricky Bega here with me, CEO and managing partner at Crash Lawyers, who will help me answer some of these questions as well as others. Ricky, what do you think will be the biggest impact on Albertans if this system were to be implemented?
Well, good afternoon, Leah. Thank you very much for having me. Care First is a no-fault system which will be delivered by private insurance company. This will mean that someone injured in an accident will lose their rights to sue and seek compensation should they be injured by a bad driver. There will be zero accountability for bad drivers causing us harm, and all the power under the Care First system will be in the hands of auto insurance companies.
Okay, well, I guess following that, how is like the current system in Alberta different from the all care system? And what is like the market like right now in Alberta for auto insurance?
I think you probably mean the Care First system.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
sorry.
The current system is basically a tort system, which means if someone wrongs you and causes you injury, you have the right to seek compensation against them or sue them to make you whole. Things like pain and suffering, loss of income, future cost of care are all things under the current system we're able to obtain for our clients. And under the new system, the Care First system, it's going to be a private insurance company that will get to decide if you get any compensation at all, how much treatment you get, and how long you get the treatment for. So essentially, the insurance company will get to be the judge, jury, and executioner on how Albertans' claims are ran. I think everyone can say, if you ever had an experience with insurance, you'll know that they love accepting premiums month over month, but the second that they need to pay out or you need them for something, they're nowhere to be found. It's a bad system for Albertans.
Hmm. Okay. Well, the next question I would have for you then is what is why is the provincial government trying to do this system, and is it will it be effective? Is there examples in other provinces of implementing this, and was it
Yeah.
effective?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I think to speak about the last question there, you mentioned, how is the market really like for auto insurance companies? And the best way I can describe it is that they're thriving. There's a falsity going around that insurance companies are leaving Alberta and that they're hurting and that they need help, but this is so far from the truth. I ask anyone, why is it that Saskatchewan General Insurance, which is a government-run insurance company from Saskatchewan, it's a no-fault province as well. They have elected to come to Alberta since 2006 to sell premiums and have never left. I tell anyone that if it was so bad, why would a no-fault province insurer come to our province to sell policies? I also they say that, if the state of affairs are so bad, in May of 2027, Definity Insurance bought Travelers Insurance for $3.3 billion. Is it because they want to lose money? I don't think so.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, interesting.
And
Oh, yeah.
the touch on basically that, your follow-up question, which was, why is the provincial government trying to do this with our system? Um, I think it's simple. They're trying to bring in a no-fault system where, Albertans' rights to their own property will be lost. They were initially telling us that they want to bring in this new system because it will come with savings of up to $400 a year for the average Albertan. But we realize now that that's false. Aaron Sutherland, who's the vice president of the Insurance Bureau of Canada, has publicly come out and said that this plan will save no money for Albertans. So now Albertans are essentially stuck with a lose situation. We're losing our rights. Insurance premium is going to go higher, and now there's no savings to be had at all. It really begs the question why the UCP is doing this in the first place. I think there's also a ton of history from other provinces and states in America that have implemented no-fault insurance. It is very, very short-term savings, as we know, an obliteration of our rights, only for premiums to go back up. So it's just a bad plan altogether.
Okay, Ricky. So another question I have for you is, are there similar systems in place in other provinces, and were they at all effective?
Yeah, so Saskatchewan and Manitoba both have no-fault systems as well. BC's no fault system, I think, is probably the one that was the most newly implemented in this country. And I tell everyone, all you got to do is just Google no fault insurance British Columbia. You will see hundreds, if not thousands, of horror stories coming out of that province. In BC, the no fault system, they called it enhanced care. In Alberta, they're calling it care first, but they're all fancy terms for the same awful policy of no fault insurance.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, the next question I have for you then, it sounds from what you're saying like kind of takes away Albertans' rights in a way. So elaborate further on that. Is that the case?
Yes. So for 99.9% of people, their rights will be taken away. The government is trying to slide this little unique wording into the legislation, which says that, someone will still retain the right to sue only if the at fault driver is convicted of a criminal offense. And this is, if you really think about it, a very odd condition. This threshold has no connection to how badly you're hurt. If you're paralyzed, for example, by a distracted driver who wasn't charged, you're out of luck. You're not getting any compensation. Your rights are gone. But if you suffer a minor scratch on your hand in a DUI, for example, and the person's charged, then you might retain some rights. Victims are compensated not based on their injuries, but on whether the offender faces charges. The example I can give you is what happens in the very the snowy months, sorry, of Alberta. There's hundreds of accidents a day. You're telling me that just because a cop doesn't show up to the scene to the accident and issue a ticket, my rights to seek compensation from a bad driver are gone? It doesn't make sense.
Hmm. Right. Okay. Well, so will this not all care, but anyways, will this system bypass like how did it bypass like because it's in a tribunal now, like it'll be answering to like a private tribunal. So how did it like bypass like how is this allowed so easily to be implemented basically is my question.
Yeah, well, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, so I can't really comment on the legality of what the government is doing, but I can say that it is, something that's morally wrong and an unconservative methodology. Every province which has adopted no fault insurance is usually adopted when a socialist party is in power. I guess our government can make this change so easily because they have a majority government and they can put through whatever plan they want, no matter how good, bad. They can just push through whatever they like. If you look at the legislation, Bill 47 itself, it says, it says that you're not allowed to go to court. You have to go through their Care First tribunal. That tribunal does not have to follow normal court rules, court processes, and the decision cannot be reviewed or reversed in court. I think there's already an article that came out that says British Columbia has a similar tribunal, and 91% of the time that tribunal just sides with the insurance company. So a regular Joe would have to appeal the tribunal's decision and come up with all the paperwork and try to go through this tribunal without a lawyer's help. And that's why they lose 91% of the time in British Columbia. So it's just unfair. And I feel like they need to backtrack, but they're not. So
Mm. As you were saying, like those cases in British Columbia, so like in the text that you gave me, you were talking about how like it's going to be funded by the insurance companies, like the tribunal. So that's the case also in British Columbia, like it's funded by the insurance companies as well.
correct. So British Columbia is a public insurance company, which is the
Oh.
ICBC.
Mm.
So British that's a public insurance company. If anything, Alberta's system that they're trying to implement is worse because it's a private, for-profit insurance company that's going to get to be the judge, jury, and execution on how your claim is read.
Mhm.
So obviously, private insurance companies care about the dollars and cents. They care about their shareholders. They care about profits. They will have every reason to cut you off before you're healed. They'll have every reason to deny your treatment, and because they have exclusively taken your rights to counsel out of the system, you'll have no one in your corner to fight for you. I the best example I can give you is I currently have a client who's a doctor, who's an ophthalmologist, and within a year he was cut off by the insurance company. Luckily, he had me to fight for him, fight for his rights, and I was able to get his treatment reopened up again, or opened up again, I should say. And the second you take counsel and lawyers out of the picture, then it's just going to be regular Joe going against $1 billion insurance companies and $1 billion lawyers of the insurance company, which is just it's an unfair balance of power.
Mm. Okay, yeah. So basically, what you're saying, what I got is it might be worse, yeah, than like the BC system, just because now it's even like they have more interest in like saving more money. They're private companies.
I anticipate that it'll be worse. Yes.
Okay. Well, also, I have another question for you, which is if Albertans don't want this to come to pass, what can they do to help stop it?
Yeah. So, I'm a member of a group which is called Albertans Against No Fault Insurance. The acronym is ANFI, AANFI. There's a website that you can go to. It's called ANFI.com. And under that website, you can contact your MLA, voice your concerns. We have a petition with close to 6,000 signatures already as well. So just hoping that we can show the government that this is a bad plan. Albertans don't want it. They want to keep their rights, should they be injured by a bad driver in an accident. And, the best thing you can do is just, reach out to government, reach out to MLA and tell them that you don't like this plan. And I feel like with enough pressure from the regular public, we can make a change of this thing.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have for you today. I really appreciate you being with us today and joining. And yeah, so if you guys liked this video and you would like more, we have a lot more on our channel. So you can definitely subscribe to the Western Standard YouTube channel, as well as subscribe to obviously our actual website, which is $10 a month. So thank you very much again. And yeah, goodbye.
Thank you for your time. Bye bye.
Thank you.